Yo, YouTube, what is good with y'all boys? I got a special one for y'all. We are back in my country. Well, I wouldn't say my country. I would claim Trinidadian. My mother is whole Trinidadian, but I would claim Trinidadian first before I claim here. It doesn't matter. I live here, so I'm saying here, okay? We're back we're in New Jersey, all right? We're in America in New Jersey. It's busting out New Jersey. I don't know if y'all are familiar with New Jersey, but it is busting out New Jersey, okay? Don't get it twisted. It is busting out there. Well, we finna learn about the sex, money, murder. I think that's the Bloods, and then the Grape Street Crips. This is the war that shook New Jersey up, okay? And we finna tap in and find out about it. Y'all already know I'll be on these gang war documentaries. I'll be on this shit, man. I'll be on it. Be sure to tap them links down below. Like, comment, and subscribe to the channel, man. Follow your boy on IG. All the social media accounts is in the description, man. Without further ado, let's go. Shout out to Block Archives, man. Shout out to you, bro.
100,000 had moved away. Unlike cities like LA or Chicago, where gangs had been around for generations, Newark came into the gang scene later. It wasn't until the late 90s that officials even confirmed gangs were operating there. But once they took root, they grew fast. These days, names like the Bloods, Crips, Almighty Latin King, and Queen Nation, and Nietas hold weight in the streets. And just like in other cities, those big names are broken down into smaller sets doing their own thing. In Newark, there isn't a part of the city untouched by gang presence. Turf is everywhere, and the crimes aren't limited to one type. Gang members are involved in anything from shootings to drug deals to robberies. Most of the gangs are loosely organized, but that doesn't mean they're not dangerous. Some members are deep in it, fully committed to the life, and the impact is real. Over the past 5 years, more than a third of Newark's murders were tied back to gang activity, but there's one name that echoes a little louder than the rest. Sex, money, murder, also known as SMM, or sometimes just murder, is one of those names that's been ringing out on the East Coast streets for years.
Yeah.
It started in the Soundview section of the Bronx, New York, and it's more than just a gang. It became a movement tied directly to the Bloods, specifically the United Blood Nation. The roots trace back to Peter Rawlik, better known in the streets as Pistol Pete. Born around 1974, he was already knee-deep in the Bronx scene before doing time on Rikers Island. That's where things shifted. While locked up, Pete crossed paths with leadership from the United Blood Nation, a group that itself was born behind those same prison walls. That's when Sex, Money, Murder officially linked up and became one of the original sets under the UBN umbrella. Back in Soundview, Pete's crew was already making waves. He had Greg Stone, better known as Grog, repping Soundview houses, and Xavier, aka X, holding it down from the Bronx River houses. Together, they helped Sex, Money, Murder carve out their territory in the Bronx. But Pistol Pete's rise wasn't quiet. It came with serious heat. By November 2000, he was hit with a life sentence tied to 7 murders.
Damn!
The feds didn't take any chances. Even though he kept his nose clean behind bars, they had him on lockdown at Florence under some of the tightest conditions out there. He couldn't talk to anyone without the government listening in. Prosecutors believed his word still carried weight, that one call from Pete could set things in motion. As the years passed, Sex, Money, Murder spread fast. They were deep in the South Bronx, then started popping up all over Eastern Brooklyn, in places like Bed-Stuy, Crown Heights, East New York, and Brownsville. Out on Long Island, Roosevelt became a hotbed, with some movement in Hempstead too. Then came the Jersey chapter. In summer of 2004, Tommy Thompson kicked things off in Jersey City. It didn't take long before the heat came. That Halloween, he got slapped with an 18-count federal indictment. Racketeering, substances, robbery, shooting.
Oh my God. 45 seconds is crazy. You're wild. 21 is crazy. Can you chill out?
If you want to roll with style,
why you gotta give me the 58-minute? Like, come on, bro. Like, what the fuck?
Pastor Abraham.
Where was I at, man? God Dang it, bro. Where's we at? Yeah, right
City.
here.
It didn't take long before the heat came. That Halloween, he got slapped with an 18-count federal indictment. Racketeering, substances, robbery, shootings, you name it. By July 2005, he pled guilty and admitted to ordering hits, taking part in assaults, and even green-lighting the murder of someone he thought was snitching. Fast forward to 2017, and the state made it official. Sex money. Murder was ranked as one of South Jersey's top threats. But they weren't the only set ranked as top threats.
They got
now, the Grape Street Crips, who've gone by a few different names over the years, is a mostly black street gang based right in the heart of Watts, a neighborhood in southeast LA. Their home turf, the Jordan Downs Projects, one of the most well-known public housing complexes in the city. To understand how they came to be, you have to go back to the 1970s. At that time, the area was known as Watts Barrio Grape, a neighborhood with both black and Mexican members rolling together. But by 1973, a split started to form. The black members decided to branch off and started calling themselves the Jordan Down Crips, with a man named Pee Wee seen as the one who got it all going. Just a few years later, around 1976, under the leadership of Kenneth Crow Day, the group rebranded again and became the Grape Street Crips. Even after the split, the relationship between the black and Mexican members stayed solid. Through the late 70s and into the 80s, they were close allies. The Mexican side began calling themselves Southside Watts Barrio Grape Street, while the black members took on names like Eastside Watts Barrio Grape or simply Eastside Grape Street Crips. By 1986 or 1987, a younger wave came in. These were the Eastside Watts Baby Lock Crips, black youth, mostly from the Jordan Downs Projects, who started using that name to mark their generation. Most of them were from 103rd Street. But as other young black members came in from different areas like Anzacs and the 90 streets, not all of them embraced the Baby Lock title. Over time, the connection to WVG began to fade for the newer black members. Still, the older heads, those who were around before '87, kept the WVG name alive, even wearing tattoos that told their history. Everything shifted in 1992. That's when most Mexican gangs in LA came together under the Serranos banner, largely influenced by the Mexican mafia. That move drove a wedge between black and Mexican gangs, straining relationships that had been solid for decades. Meanwhile, over on the East Coast, the Grape Street name was taking on a life of its own. In Newark, New Jersey, the Grape Street Crips became one of the most feared and violent gangs in the city. They weren't just making noise, they were moving serious weight, flooding the streets with heroin, cocaine, and crack. They ran their substance empire through fear, violence, and strict control. In neighborhoods like 6th Avenue and North 5th Street, and in housing projects like Pennington Court and Oscar Miles, they operated with military-like precision. To keep their territory secure, they relied on community guns, weapons stashed and shared between members so anyone could be armed in a moment's notice. The leadership didn't mess around. If they felt disrespected or even just suspected someone was working with the cops, they struck back fast. Snitches were marked. Intimidation was their go-to, and they weren't afraid to make examples out of people. One especially chilling moment came in late 2013. A high-ranking member went on social media and straight up called out someone who had helped police in a murder case. Just days later, Grape Street members tracked that person down and shot them multiple times.
Damn.
The victim barely made it out alive, but the message, crystal clear. If you crossed the Grape Street Crips, there'd be consequences. But violence wasn't just old school in Newark. It had evolved and it had gone viral. Tyler Shorter, better known on the streets as Money Bags or just Bags, and Amir Canty, who went by Blast, weren't just hanging around with some local crew. They were connected to Sex, Money, Murder, or SMM for short, a street gang with serious roots and a loud presence, both on the block and all over social media. If you knew what to look for, you could spot SMM members without much effort. They made sure of that. Social media was their stage. Facebook, Instagram, wherever they could post, they let it be known. They'd throw up gang signs, rock specific clothes, and flood their pages with colors and emojis that spoke their language. Red was their trademark. You'd see it in everything. Dyed hair, red bandanas, red sneakers, even down to the belts. And then there was green too, a nod to slime, a term born out of Atlanta from a popular SMM rapper. Together, red and green told you exactly who they were. Law enforcement had been watching all this unfold online. Selfies throwing up signs, group photos dripping in red, and stories hyping up the power of the SMM name. Tyler and Amir, along with others tied to the set, weren't just repping for show. They used drill music and posts to intimidate rivals and flaunt their lifestyle, turning social media into a tool of fear and flex. SMM had their hands in just about everything, dealing in the neighborhoods they ran, pulling off all kinds of scams and fraud, moving stolen goods across state lines, even running prostitution. Violence wasn't just part of the game, it was part of their identity. If there was beef with another gang, it didn't stay quiet for long. It hit the streets fast. Their main stomping grounds were the Bradley Court housing complex in Newark, New Jersey, known to locals as the Bradley Court Projects, or just BCP. That's near Northmund Avenue and Tremont Avenue. The crew there went by M Block, short for Mun Block, but they weren't the only ones in the area. Just a few blocks over, another gang was claiming space, G Block. These guys had ties to the Grape Street Crips, also known as Grape.
These look like the YNs and shit, you know what I'm saying? Hey, let me know if y'all from Newark, New Jersey in the comment section. Let me know.
And they ran things around Goodwin Avenue. The tension between M Block and G Block had been heating up, turning local streets into battlegrounds as both sides fought for control. But what happens when online threats turn into real-life bloodshed? You see, Tyler Shorter and Nyshawn Anthony weren't just drill rappers from Newark, they were rivals, each tied to different neighborhoods and street crews. Shorter repped his set while Anthony stood behind the Grape Street Crips and G Block. Tensions between them started to boil over around mid-October 2022. That's when Shorter dropped a video dissing both Grape Street and G Block, basically throwing gasoline on an already burning fire. A couple of weeks later, in early November, Anthony clapped back with his track filled with threats and insults aimed right at Shorter and his circle. Not even a week passed before Shorter responded again, this time with pointed lines clearly aimed at Anthony and G Block, saying he was ready for whatever came next. Then, on November 8th, 2022, everything changed. It was just after 2:30 in the afternoon in Newark when Nyshawn Anthony was shot in the head inside a deli on South Orange Avenue. Less than a day.
Jesus Christ, boy.
It was just after 2:30 in the afternoon in Newark when Nyshawn Anthony was shot in the head inside a deli on South Orange Avenue. Less than a day later, he was pronounced dead. Surveillance footage told a chilling story. Shorter showed up at the deli dressed in all black, wearing a mask and gray sneakers. He bought a cigar, but kept eyeing the back of the store where Anthony stood near a security screen. At one point, Shorter stepped outside. A black BMW, later found to be stolen, pulled up. He talked to the people inside, then pulled a gun and walked back into the deli. Seconds later, shots rang out. Anthony was hit and Shorter ran back to the car, hopping into the back seat before the BMW peeled off down the street. Later that same day, just after 4 p.m., the BMW was found burned out on Riverside Avenue, a known dumping spot. Surveillance cameras caught Candy, who turned out to be the driver, parking the car and trying to set it on fire with another person. Both of them ran off on foot, and fingerprints left behind tied Canty to the scene. But that's not where it ends. Turns out, the New Jersey State Police had been watching that same BMW even before the shooting. It had been stolen from Passaic just 2 days earlier, and they had secretly put a GPS tracker on it.
Damn, it was over before it even started. Jesus Christ. All right, so what? Okay, so how the hell the cops put a GPS tracker? So they're already eyeing the car. Why did y'all let them commit the murder? Why didn't y'all send a team, a Auto Bravo team, and then waited at the deli shop once you have a GPS on the car? I'm just trying to figure out how the hell y'all didn't stop the murder. And y'all let them burn out the car. What the? Am I tripping? Bro, am I tripping? If y'all already knew that they stole the car and had a GPS tracker on it and see it moving, you know it's stolen, why didn't y'all stop? You know what?
Records placed Canty's phone right near where the car was stolen. That same BMW after the murder popped up in Great Neck, New York, involved in attempted carjackings. And guess who was nearby? The same phones linked to Shorter and Canty. Before the shooting, the BMW was...
These niggas robbed a car. They knew they was going to rob a car, and they took their personal phone with them. Oh, Lord. Jesus Christ, man. Both of them slow. The culprits are slow, and the police are slow. Because I'm still trying to figure out how the police figure out that the car was stolen and then put a secret GPS tracker on it and don't move in on the car. They didn't commit the murder the same day they stole the car, so the car had to be sitting somewhere, and y'all didn't go get that shit yet? Like, I'm still trying to figure out how the hell that happened, bro.
Seen at a tire shop on South Orange Avenue, not far from BCP territory. Surveillance footage showed all 4 suspects, including Shorter and Canty, hanging around outside. Shorter wore the same outfit seen during the shooting, and Canty, who was driving, matched what he wore when the BMW was set on fire. At one point, Canty took off the license plate while everyone else stood around, looking at their phones. Shortly after, Shorter waved someone over who got in the back of the car. At 2:32 p.m., they left the shop. 6 minutes later, Nyshawn Anthony was shot. Phone data confirmed it. Both Shorter's and Canty's phones pinged near the tire shop before the murder, and then again right at the crime scene when the shooting went down. They also showed up near the botched carjacking in Great Neck. And that BMW, the GPS showed it was in sync with both their phones all day.
Oh my God. It's just no way. It ain't no way you niggas was ready to commit murder. It's no way, bro. It's no way, bro. It ain't no way y'all niggas was this loose with, like, covering your tracks. Like, I don't understand. These niggas done connected they phone to the stolen car that they were going to commit a murder. Oh my God. It's over. Just salute, man. I'm gone.